the release date says coming soon, and this will make the audience slightly excited and curious when the film is actually going to come out. In every poster that I did, they didn't do that. They gave a specific date. But the thing is, I've seen other, obviously the ones that I studied said that, but slightly the ones that I've seen have said coming soon. So I don't think it would have been a huge deal not to give a specific date. The age ratings for most films I've seen are all 18s. But I was thinking maybe put mine to an R-rated 15, like if you know what I'm saying. So this will expand my audience and everything. The Strangers helped me do my poster because of their use of masks in the poster. Their masks set fear and mystery and sets the same genre of like a very scary clown. Their use of mystery is used quite well with the killer faded in the background. I tried to do the same thing with my killer being faded in the background to set fear and confusion. The woman using the Strangers has no power as she's placed in a set where she doesn't even know the killer's there at one point, and in the other poster she's just sat down, tied up. I've done that in my a poster as I've had the girl just with a hand over her mouth, which obviously looks like she's screaming, which obviously takes away her power completely. This is also in the Halloween poster as well, as in the knife reflection you can see a particular character like looking very scared in the reflection. So I tried to use that same concept as well. In the Halloween poster, they use a specific good colours with orange, which I believed was supposed to initiate the idea of hell. And I've tried to do that in my poster as well, as having an orangey, like the sunset being orange and like the background, which would initiate the killer was from hell, as the mask is like covered over it. This is also done in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, as the killer itself has massive clouds above him that shows that I believe that would have been he was from hell as well, because the clouds are very distorted as well. So I tried to do that as well, basically. The use of the taglines was "The evil has returned," which works really well, but I challenged this by doing a tagline that was actually a rhetorical question. I believe this gives the audience a sense of involvement and might confuse them, which will obviously, I believe, make them fear, sorry. They have in one of the posters, they have a particular picture of a man with a chainsaw walking down a very, very lonely road, like very isolated. That obviously sets up the idea of isolation, and I've done that in mine by having a lonely field, basically. So, yep. In most horror films that I've seen, they have the weapon, which is shown quite a lot. Like in Halloween poster, they have the weapon shown. In the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they have the weapon shown. I tried to like challenge this by having no particular weapon shown in the actual poster or website, because I believe that would have shown make the audience keep guessing of what weapon will be used, and is it identified as a slasher film, a supernatural film? You just don't know until you watch the actual trailer itself. Now for my website, I tried to follow the consistency from my poster. I think I did that right, to be honest. They used the exact same colours, the images and the text styles were used quite well. I've got the exact same image of the mask in the background, except I've moved it slightly to the right hand side, and you can only see half the face, but there's a lot more focus on the girl's eyes this time, with the girl screaming and stuff. The dark they use the same sense of a dark background and the white font to make it stand out. Same fonts are used. The same use of a film by Samuel Stevens is used, which obviously sets up anticipation. The use of the moon sets up the same sense of a werewolf. The sunset initiates either good or being a hellish type feature. The mask once again is shown to be dirty, which obviously links in with the Halloween, and the mask itself is supposed to be linking in with the Strangers, with the type of genre it fits into. The things with the website though, I've got the billing card information at the bottom of it. Is outside, and this is done in the Strangers one, but it's not very, you can't see it that well, but I've used a fuzzy TV screen comes out onto the screen. This obviously sets confusion because it's very distorted. This obviously shows a link from the news broadcast as well. Drawing this fuzzy screen, you can slightly see at certain times the killer standing with his head behind his back of his head. This obviously sets a lot of confusion towards the audience, and obviously a sense of enigma of why this character is standing there. On the news report, it talks about how this barn is like people are disappearing near this particular barn, which obviously sets the location for me. After this fuzzy screen that I mentioned beforehand, the screen fades black, and then you see a particular character running in the background towards something, and you can see the location that I used on my poster and website, and the audio in the background says "We are going to that barn." That obviously sets up the idea of how the film is starting and how the equilibrium is stopped, basically. I also tried to copy the Texas Chainsaw Massacre beginning poster, as it has a long lonely road, and also it is used in the trailer as well of a long lonely road, which obviously has a lot of isolation, and I tried to use the same idea as well. I then showed a shot of the actual barn itself, which is where the film is mainly taking place, and I used a jump shot for this because I believe that would be a good effect, adds more detail to the particular barn itself. And in most trailers that I've watched, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween and The Strangers, when showing the location of the particular place, it actually used a bit of a jump shot, so I tried to copy this idea. The barn itself is very old and rusty, which is a very good concept that's used in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as the house used that is very old and rusty as well. And it sets up fear, like, obviously, because it's an old age type thing, and I believe that sets a very sense of fear and sense that maybe supernatural ideas are happening in this particular place. The next few shots I used was to introduce all my characters. By doing this, I've got every character that's in the film just looking up or looking towards something, which sets enigma, obviously, because of what the question is, what are these characters actually looking at. I used this from the Scream 4 trailer because I believe that's a really quite clever idea, because it made the characters stand out a lot more, which sets a lot more clearer towards the audience. In particular, for introducing the characters, when the female character is looking towards something, I placed the camera on the floor in a slant position to make it seem that the camera was like a dead body of some proportion. So obviously, with this sense of it, obviously adds a lot more confusion and fear. It then cuts in the text, it then cuts into a text that says "Truth becomes legend." I tried to use the same idea as the Halloween the trailer, when it says it mentions a particular thing about legends itself. So I tried to copy the same idea. The colour of the text used in when I used that was obviously links in with the poster and website itself, and I had obviously a white text and a black background. The thing I was kind of hoping to do was to have an image in the background of this, like of the mask itself, but obviously I couldn't figure out how to do that, because they do that in the Halloween trailer, and I believe that would have been a really good idea for me to use. The use of Truth Becomes Legends, I like this idea because old urban legends are usually something that connotes something that's fearful in some cases, and I try to use the same concept. The next shot is a character walking through some trees by himself, which obviously sets a lot of isolation, and right at the end of the shot, the camera itself takes like a weird slip. This was used because I believe with this weird slip, the enigma is broken, and the equilibrium is broken, and disequilibrium is starting as the camera slips itself. So this obviously set a lot of fear and enigma, enigma is actually one of the main conventions that I like to use in trailers. One shot I have is a shot of secluded woods and the sun shining into the rays of the sun shining into it. This is done in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because the whole of the film is basically set in the sun. Which obviously sets isolation, which sets a lot of isolation. And right at the end of the shot, the camera itself takes like a weird slip. This was used because I believe with this weird slip, the enigma is broken, and the equilibrium is broken, and disequilibrium is starting as the camera slips itself. So this obviously set a lot of fear and enigma, enigma is actually one of the main conventions that I like to use in trailers. One shot I have is a shot of secluded woods and the sun shining into the rays of the sun shining into it. This is done in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because the whole of the film is basically set in the sun, which obviously sets isolation, because the use of it not being dark doesn't really matter because it's in an isolated area. So even if it was dark or light, no one's going to help the victims in the case. Also, with the use of the sun rays being trapped by the trees being blocked off, I wanted to make it seem like the characters are a lot more isolated as they are trapped. This maybe helps represent the idea that they need help or salvation. It means they cannot break through this bad eerie feel. The next shot is of an idea when I climbed up a tree and took the camera looking down as a character walks by, and the hand movements from the character is making him look around, shouting something, but that obviously sets an enigma because you can't hear what he's actually saying, and it makes you believe that the camera itself is a killer just standing at the top of the tree waiting, and this obviously lowers the character's domination, and the killer itself's domination goes a lot higher because he's aware of what's going on. The whole concept of most trailers to set up the suspense is that the killer can see his victims without the victims knowing that he's there. This obviously sets up the whole idea of domination. The text then says, "But sometimes legends return." This shows a link between the other title of this obviously turns the link with the title becomes Truth Becomes Legend. I use the same idea from the Halloween trailer when it says the evil has returned. This idea of return and returned obviously sets a good slot of fear to the audience, knowing that something is coming that is evil. So connotes mystery, which is a main convention of horror films. In most trailers that I've watched, it's the shots at the beginning are very slow, and then at the end they go very quick fire, which obviously shows a lot of fear and it's just going so quick. It just sets fear a lot and the confusion of why it's going this quick, and I tried to use this in my trailer as well. At this point, the suspense has already been grown, And now with the quick fire shots, I used one shot was a female character screaming at something, which was initially the introducing shot of the character when the camera slanted on the floor. When she screams, it obviously sets an enigma. What is this